Hi everyone. Myself Narendra Kumar, Assistant Professor from Department of Speech, Language and Hearing Sciences. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about various causes of hearing loss and its impact on communication. The learning outcomes or objectives of this particular lecture is that at the end of this module, the students will be able to list the causes of hearing loss. They will also be able to describe the impact of hearing loss in communication. Hearing loss can occur due to various reasons or abnormalities in the structure or the function of the hearing mechanism. The problem can be found in any of these structure or function of the hearing mechanism, such as the outer ear, which comprises of the pinna, external auditory canal, and the tympanic membrane, or the middle ear, which comprises of the middle ear space, ear ossicles, and the eustachian tube, or the inner ear, which comprises of the cochlea hearing mechanism and the vestibule, the balance mechanism, or at the level of the nervous system, taking the hearing energy from the peripheral end organs to the brain. Now, abnormalities in any of these regions can result in hearing loss. It could be due to various degrees of hearing loss or type of hearing loss depending upon the extent of lesion and where the lesion is occurring. So these type and degree of hearing loss will be dealt in another lecture. Hearing loss can be classified into congenital hearing loss and acquired hearing loss. Congenital hearing loss is hearing loss that has been occurring at the time of birth or during delivery, during birth. Acquired hearing loss is hearing loss which is acquired after birth. The congenital hearing loss is again classified into hereditary hearing loss or genetic hearing loss, which runs through family, and non-hereditary hearing loss, not involving any genetic reason. The acquired hearing loss or can be classified as infections after birth, any trauma or noise exposure, and also due to aging. So these are the classification for acquired causes of hearing loss. Now, under congenital hearing loss, heredity is genetically related. It includes various genetic factors because of which hearing loss is going to occur. Under these genetic reasons, there are various genetical disorders that can lead to hearing loss, like autosomal dominant variation, autosomal recessive variation, X-linked recessive variation, and X-linked dominant genetic hearing losses. These genetic hearing losses can either affect only the hearing or along with hearing, there could be other symptoms called syndromic conditions. The non-hereditary hearing loss includes maternal infections, any infections to the mother during pregnancy, such as rubella, torch complex, syphilis, etc. This also includes cytomegalovirus infection or any inappropriate usage of drugs during pregnancy to the mother. Perinatal complications such as birth asphyxia or delayed birth cry from the child because of which poor oxygen supply to the brain can lead to hearing loss, or low birth weight and other developmental defects can lead to congenital hearing loss, which are non-hereditary in nature. So when it comes to hereditary, it is purely involving genetic factors. If it is non-hereditary, it involves in various infections to the mother during pregnancy or any abnormalities in the development of the ear mechanisms or low birth weight and developmental delay in the children during birth. There are certain terminologies which we need to keep in our mind in order to understand the various causes of hearing loss. Congenital, as we previously saw, it denotes the hearing loss is present during the birth. Whereas acquired hearing loss means the hearing loss which is acquired after birth. Idiopathic. Idiopathic means there is no unknown reason or cause for which the hearing loss has occurred. If we know the reason, then we can tell that the hearing loss is due to toxoplasmosis, hearing loss due to syphilis, hearing loss due to jaundice. But when the cause is not known, then that is called as idiopathic hearing loss. Acute hearing loss. Acute means this occurs within a short duration. It will have sudden onset and the hearing loss will be there for short duration. With medical treatment or with some management option, the hearing loss can be made better or managed easily. So that is acute. Chronic is persistent. It stands for longer duration. Sudden hearing loss. The onset will be rapid in nature. For example, sudden blow to the ear and because of trauma hearing loss has occurred. Whereas gradual hearing loss means the hearing loss occurs in a gradual manner. The degree of hearing loss, the severity of hearing loss will be gradually building up from less hearing loss to greater degree of hearing loss across time. Progressive hearing loss, which means advancing in degree from slight hearing loss to severe component of hearing loss. Fluctuating hearing loss means the degree of hearing loss varies across time. Today it may be a severe category. After a few days, when we check, the hearing might have become much better. Then after a few days, it might come closer to normal. Then after a few weeks or few days, again it can become poorer. So it will be a fluctuating type of hearing loss. Temporary hearing loss, it occurs only for limited duration. For example, ear block whenever we have cold. We will have some amount of blocking sensation in our ear and have reduced hearing sensitivity. Once the infection is cleared, the hearing becomes better. So that is temporary hearing loss. Permanent hearing loss is something which cannot be reversed. It's a permanent hearing loss. The severity will not become better. Unilateral hearing loss denotes hearing loss pertaining to only one ear. The other ear might be normal. Whereas bilateral hearing loss means there is hearing loss present in both the ears. So these are the few terminologies which we need to keep in our mind. Now we will see about the congenital anomalies of ear. In the congenital causes for hearing loss, we briefly saw about the genetic reasons and non-genetic, non-hereditary reasons. So in non-hereditary reasons, we also saw about the developmental defects. So these are the developmental defects of the ear. First, we will see about the developmental defects of the outer ear. Microtia. Microtia denotes a smaller auricle or small pinna, underdeveloped pinna. This may not cause significant degree of hearing loss. The next one is anotia, the complete absence of pinna. Both these two conditions may not cause a significant impact or significant degree of hearing loss in individuals. Oral atresia. Atresia is complete block of external auditory meatus, or there is no opening to the ear canal. So we cannot see any opening in the ear. That is called as oral atresia. Now this oral atresia can cause significant amount of hearing loss because there is no passage through which the sound can reach the inner ear. Hence this oral atresia will lead to varying degree of conductive hearing loss provided the inner ear is normal. The next condition is oral stenosis. Stenosis is narrowing of ear canal. Now, when there is no opening to the ear canal, it is called as oral atresia. And the ear canal is open, but the canal is too narrow. So it restricts the amount of sound energy reaching the tympanic membrane. This can also lead to some degree of hearing loss. So these are the congenital anomalies of outer ear. Next, we will see about the congenital anomalies of middle ear. The middle ear can be malformed or completely absent, leading to varying degrees of conductive hearing loss. There may be absent tympanic membrane, or the tympanic membrane will be underdeveloped or rudimentary in nature. So it cannot function to its maximum efficiency. The eardrum is absent or rudimentary in nature. The middle ear bones, the three small bones in the middle ear or ossicles, can be malformed or completely missing. So those are the middle ear congenital anomalies. The anomalies in the outer ear and middle ear will lead to conductive hearing loss. Next one, we are going to see about the congenital anomalies of the inner ear. Michael's aplasia. Michael's aplasia denotes the complete absence of the inner ear or the cochlea. So when there is total absence of any inner ear structure, that is called as Michael's aplasia. Mondini's dysplasia is going to describe that the development of the inner ear cochlea is incomplete. So if there is total absence, it is called as Michael's aplasia, and if it is incomplete development, then that is called as Mondini's dysplasia. There is another condition called as Keep's aplasia, where the membranous labyrinth of the inner ear is absent. So these are the conditions or developmental anomalies that can be seen in the inner ear. Any anomaly in the inner ear alone can result in sensory neural hearing loss. So anomalies of outer ear and middle ear will result in conductive hearing loss provided the inner ear is completely normal. The anomaly in the inner ear will result in sensory neural hearing loss. If there are problems in both these, all these combination like either outer ear and inner ear or middle ear and inner ear, then it will result in mixed hearing loss. Now we will see about various causes for acquired hearing loss. The first and foremost cause for acquired hearing loss could be head trauma. It can be a road traffic accident or a sports accident. Any trauma to the head that results in temporal bone fracture will lead to acquired hearing loss. This is because the hearing mechanism is located in the petrous part of the temporal bone. So, there is any fracture involving the temporal bone, there are high chances that hearing loss can occur. Acquired hearing loss with respect to outer ear can be because of impacted wax. Wax is generated in the outer ear canal. When the wax is not cleared normally, if it keep on building up and gets hardened in the ear canal, it can occlude the ear canal or block the ear canal, blocking the way for the sound to reach the tympanic membrane and middle ear. So that will result in conductive hearing loss. Any foreign bodies that completely block the ear canal will also lead to hearing loss. These two conditions, once the wax is removed or once the foreign body is removed, the sound is free to enter into the ear. So the hearing loss can be alleviated or the hearing sensitivity can be brought back to normal. Any growths or tumor in the ear canal, exostosis, bony growth in the external ear canal. If it is going to block the passage of airway, then it will lead to hearing loss. Otitis externa, any infections in the external ear. If it is going to obstruct the ear canal, it will cause hearing loss. Acquired hearing loss with respect to middle ear, the most common cause is perforation. Tympanic membrane perforation, a hole in the tympanic membrane. This will lead to improper vibration or activation of the tympanic membrane. Hence, will result in hearing loss. The efficiency of the middle ear to transmit the energy from outer ear to the inner ear will be reduced because of this perforation. Depending upon the size of perforation or where the perforation is occurring in the tympanic membrane, the degree of hearing loss will vary. Tympanosclerosis. A plaque deposition on the tympanic membrane is called as tympanosclerosis. This will again cause hearing loss. Now, this tympanosclerosis can occur due to repeated middle ear infection. Some kind of whitey depositions can be seen on the tympanic membrane in tympanosclerosis. The next one is otitis media. Any middle ear infection is called as otitis media. Whenever the middle ear is infected and fluid collected in the middle ear will lead to poor transmission of sound energy from the outer ear to the inner ear, leading to conductive hearing loss. Now, otitis media, when left untreated, can lead to perforation of tympanic membrane. So, tympanic membrane perforation can occur because of otitis media or due to barotrauma, any slap, any trauma, acoustic trauma, sudden loud sounds, hearing to sudden loud sounds can also lead to tympanic membrane perforation. Next cause is the eustachian tube dysfunction. Eustachian tube is a tube that connects the middle ear cavity to the nasopharynx, which is also called as pressure equalization tube. This tube will be always closed. Whenever we swallow or when chew harder, this tube opens, equalizing the air pressure in the environment and the middle ear cavity for efficient functioning of the middle ear. Because of various infections or any other conditions, either the tube can remain completely closed, it will not open at all, leading to otitis media, or the eustachian tube is patulous in nature, it does not close only. So, infections from the pharyngeal region can easily go into middle ear. So, eustachian tube dysfunction will lead to otitis media and again it will lead to hearing loss. Any growth or tumor in the middle ear will also result in conductive hearing loss. One kind of tumor in middle ear is the hemotympanum. Sorry. The next cause is any growth or tumor in the middle ear. One kind of tumor in middle ear is called as glomus tumorus. So these are can obstruct the vibration of the ossicle or the tympanic membrane or affect the resonance of the middle ear, thereby leading to hearing loss. Due to acoustic trauma or any blow to the ear, there can be ossicular chain discontinuity, which means the ossicles, the three bones are held together in a chain-like fashion. Because of sudden change in pressure or sudden blow to the ear, this ossicular chain can break, thereby decreasing the efficiency of the middle ear in conducting the sound from the outer ear to the inner ear. Again, these middle ear conditions will lead to conductive hearing loss. Inner ear component, the sensory component. The inner ear, the cochlea, has sensory hair cells. So, any problem pertinent only to the inner ear will lead to pure sensory hearing loss. The most common cause for inner ear acquired hearing loss or noise induced hearing loss. Listening to loud noise most of the time or loud recreation music can lead to noise induced hearing loss or music induced hearing loss. Meniere's disease, a condition in the inner ear, can result in sensory hearing loss. Ototoxicity is a toxic condition either through medications or toxic drugs or due to certain infections. These infections through bloodstream will reach the inner ear or the cochlea and affect the sensory cells, leading to hearing loss. Perilymphatic fistula, another cause that is happening at the level of the inner ear, leading to hearing loss. Superior canal dehiscence syndrome or thin bone syndrome will lead to inner ear acquired hearing loss. So these are certain causes of hearing loss pertinent to the inner ear. And retrocochlear pathology. Retrocochlear means away from cochlea or lesions in the nerve, auditory nerve. It could be a neuropathy, any pathology to the auditory nervous system is called as neuropathy. Any abnormal growth in the nerve, auditory nerve is tumor. So tumors and neuropathy are neural causes for acquired hearing loss. So these are a few causes that can cause hearing loss in acquired conditions. Other acquired hearing loss are sudden hearing loss. It can occur without any reason within a short span of time, and with appropriate medical management, the hearing can be brought better. Presbycusis, hearing loss because of aging. There is no specific cause. The only cause is aging, the wear and tear of the auditory system, leading to hearing loss is presbycusis. Various other infections like Ramsay-Hunt syndrome, bacterial meningitis, measles or mumps can cause hearing loss. Chronic diabetes condition will lead to hearing loss. Paget's disease can lead to a condition called as osteitis deformans, will again affect the structure of the hearing mechanism and leading to hearing loss. So these are the other causes for acquired hearing loss. Now we briefly went over what are the various causes of hearing loss, and now we are going to see about how this hearing loss can impact our communication. Before understanding how it can impact our communication, we need to know the speech cycle or communication cycle. So here we can see a speaker. A speaker is a person who is going to um, formulate a speech. So he is going to think what to be spoken. The neural mechanism is going to send programs to the various speech organs, and the person is going to speak. So when a person speaks, the speech sounds come as sound waves, the speech waves. The person listens to the speech through the ear. The cochlea or the inner ear decodes the heard information and send those informations to the brain where the speech is processed and understood by the listener. The same speech sound produced by the speaker can be heard back by the speaker himself. This is what we call as feedback. This heard sound again goes to the brain. So here in the brain, the spoken program and heard spoken sound will be compared, and if it is correct, the next speech will be keep on going on. If there is any error detected, then the correction will be made. So this is called as communication chain. The speaker also listens to his own speech. The listener also listens to the speaker's speech. Now let's see what will happen when there is a hearing loss. Let us imagine the listener is having some degree of hearing loss. So when the speaker speaks, the sound is entering into the ear of an individual who is having hearing loss. Because of hearing loss, depending upon type of hearing loss and various degrees of hearing loss, there is some amount of decrement in the amount of information that is sent to the brain for understanding. If crucial informations are missed, then this person, this listener, will fail to understand the speech only through listening mode. So what he will do? He will rely more on visual cues. Will look at the lip movements of the talker to match up the information which is lost because of hearing loss. Here, so that is how hearing loss is going to affect communication. This pathway is affected, hence the person relies on other information such as visual cues, the gestures delivered by the speaker, or the other contextual cues in the spoken language. So based on other cues, the listener will try to overcome the problem due to hearing loss. Now let us imagine the speaker himself has hearing loss, because of which he is not able to hear appropriately what he himself is speaking. Now this feedback mechanism is mostly important for correcting mechanisms, whether the speech sounds or the content what I am talking is correct or not. So through feedback, I will be able to monitor it. If I spoke certain words in a wrong manner, if I mispronounce certain words, I can recorrect it. There will be a correction signal from the brain to the speech mechanism, so the sound or the word can be spoken in a right manner. Now, an individual with hearing loss, because of this improper feedback, will have lot of articulation problems, articulation errors. They may not speak the words in a correct manner. They tend to speak louder so that they will be able to hear their own voice adequately. So, like that, there are various causes or various communication problems happening in an individual where the speaker himself is having hearing loss. So, hearing loss at the speaker or at the listener can break up this communication chain. So, hearing is one of the frequently used mode for communication. When hearing loss is there, then the persons tend to rely upon other cues for understanding the speech, understanding the communication, to help the communication go on. So, this is the impact of hearing loss in communication. So, when there is a hearing loss, there is a compromised speech perception. The speech perception is not going to be as efficient as possible. There can be loss of audibility. They will be able to hear the speech but at soft levels. They may miss out certain soft speech sounds, especially the consonants, because of which they will not be able to understand the words spoken by the talker, due to which greater communication effort will be put by the listener. An individual with hearing loss tends to put more effort in order to attend to the visual signs provided by the speaker. He put lot of mental effort to patch up the words or patch up the information which he or she has lost due to his hearing loss in order to understand the speech. So there is greater communication effort which will reduce the social engagement of an individual with hearing loss. Because of these problems, the individual with hearing loss tends to become less and less socially active. He may not go out and talk to various persons. He may not feel comfortable to have longer conversations with an individual or with a group of people. Because of these things, what can happen is that there can be cognitive impairment, because when there is lesser amount of information is going to or reaching the brain through audition, through hearing, few sounds are misrepresented. The person is not going to have proper communication skills, which will gradually lead to impaired cognition, poorer physical function, and ultimately poorer quality of life. The quality of life of an individual with hearing loss is going to be poorer than in a quality of life of a normal hearing individual. So these are the some of the impacts hearing loss can cause to the communication as well as the cognitive aspects of an individual with hearing loss. So those are the very brief overview of what are the different causes for hearing loss and how it can affect human communication. These are the references used for this particular lecture.